Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we are going to be going over the top 15, because I was going to do 25 but I couldn't think of 25. So top 15 best cars, or cars where the first generation of that car was the best generation of that car. If that makes any sense. I hope it makes sense. It should make sense. If you're deaf, it might not make sense, but otherwise it should make sense. Song of the day is called Wood by Alice in Chains. It is a rock and roll song, so if you don't like rock music, don't listen to it. But if you don't like rock music, you're probably just a butt sniffer. Like, I'm gonna be honest, man, you probably just go, is that a butt I smell? And then just go up to it and start sniffing away, because it's the best genre, one of the best genres easily. I would say it's a good close tie between country music, rock music, and rap music. It's a close three-way tie there, but rock is one of them, so go give it a listen if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's get right into it with number 15. I kept the intro short today, ladies and gentlemen. No yappage from Mark today. And coming in at the number 15 spot, I have to be very precise with this one, very careful with my wording, I should say, because it's going to the Toyota Celica. Just the Celica. Now, obviously, yes, once they started to get into the GT4 realm, the car became better. Obviously, I think that was the 4th, 5th, and 6th generation, and the 6th generation of the Celica, but with the GT4 trim, is, in my opinion, the best generation of the Celica. But for terms of base model, just regular old Celicas, Celica GTs, whatever you want to call it, I think the first generation is clearly the best if you exclude the GT4s. However, I can understand if you don't exclude the GT4s, which is why I put it here at number 15. But the first gen Celica, man, it's freaking awesome. It's like a pocket muscle car. It's rear wheel drive. It's beautiful looking. It's fun. It's sick. And coming in at 14th place, I also have to be kind of careful with my wording here as well, because it's going to be going to the Nissan GTR. Just the GTR. Again, just like with the Celica we talked about earlier, obviously you can make an argument that the GTR started with the 2000 GTR, the Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR, whatever you want to call it, all the way back in the day. I consider the R32 GTR to be the actual first true GTR, because the 2000 GTR doesn't go by that trim level. Big brain moment. But yeah, the R32 GTR is clearly the best of the GTR line. I know some R34 kids are going to get mad at me for saying that, but it's the truth, man. I'm sorry to break the news to you. The R32 GTR is peak. One of the best JDM cars of all time, period. Like, let alone just for the GTRs. I think the R32 is definitely the best, and it's the first of the GTRs. Coming in at 13th place, and the reason why it's all the way down here at 13th place, also, yeah, the reason why the GTR, by the way, is at 14th and not higher, even though the GTR is obviously a very iconic name, is because, again, you can make an argument that the 2000 GTR is the first ever GTR, so, you know, it makes sense. But 13th place is the same way, because it's going to be going to the BMW M3, specifically the E30 model. Now, the reason why I say this one's a little bit controversial is because I have gone on record multiple times on my channel saying that the F80 M3 is actually my favorite generation of the M3, and I stand by that. I do. I really think the F80 M3 is my favorite. But I can't sit here and lie and act like the E30 M3 isn't the most, like, impactful, iconic, legendary M3 to ever exist. That car, I've said it multiple times, the E30 M3 and the R32 GTR perfectly define what the 90s was good for. The E30 M3 was, yes, it was good at racing and, like, DTM and stuff like that, don't get me wrong, but it was good at everything. Hill climb, rally, circuit racing, everything that they put the E30 M3 into, it was great at, and that's what makes a good car. And coming in at the number 12 spot is less controversial, I would say, than the last three, the Toyota Tacoma. The Toyota Tacoma first gen is, in my personal favor, personal opinion, the best. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people that hate on the newer Tacomas. I actually think the newer Tacomas are some of the coolest trucks out there, man. Like, my friend Quentin, he's not, like, super into cars and stuff like that, and he wants a truck, and I recommend the new Tacomas to him quite often. I like them. I like every generation of the Toyota Tacoma, as a matter of fact, but I do think the first gen is the best. It's the lightest weight, it's the least electronically molested. I hate how everything nowadays has to have 7 million electronics, just killing the resale value of these cars in 20 years. And it's just like, every time I see a video of someone having fun in a first gen Tacoma, I just start cheesing, man. They just look like such fun little trucks. And coming in at the 11th place, a lot of people are probably going to think it's technically, like, not the first gen, but it actually is. We're going with the Dodge Viper. Specifically the SRII Dodge Vipers. It's on screen right now. You can see which one I'm talking about on the screen. Everybody thinks the first gen Viper is, like, the deadly one, the one that's, I'm gonna be honest, I think is pretty ugly. You know what I'm talking about, the first ever Viper. And then they think that this one, the one that you see on screen now, is technically the second gen, but it's actually not true. I did a whole, like, good, bad, ugly on these, and apparently these are actually the same generation. The second one is just a facelift. So if you count that, then I think that's the best generation of the Dodge Viper. Don't get me wrong, I think the new Vipers are sick too. Everybody does. They're freaking gorgeous cars, but I love the SRII Vipers, man. They're just wow, they are peak. If I could have like I'm not a big supercar guy, but those make me happy. And coming in at the number 10 spot, again, another car that you can kind of say is a little bit of a cheat code. But that's just kind of like the nature of a list like this, is you kind of have to be like picky when it comes to your trim levels and what you classify as that car's history, you know what I mean? Because for 10th place I went with the Ford GT. People could say that the Ford GT started with the Ford GT40. I think the Ford GT, the like 2005 models, like that time, that was the first Ford GT, whereas the Mark 1 GT40 is the first GT40, and that these are different cars. You could call me crazy for that, but that's what I think. And obviously when it comes to the new Ford GTs, there's only 2 generations of them, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with me on this when saying that the first generation of the new Ford GTs is the better one. The second one is cool, don't get me wrong, but it honestly, man, like that car came out and it was on the cover of Forza Motorsport 6. I thought it was kind of cool then, and then that's all I thought about it. I don't think about that car at all. And coming in at 9th place, this one might be a hot take, honestly, because theoretically speaking, the newer ones are just better. But I'm going with the Mini Cooper. The first ever like 60s Mini Coopers, the super tiny ones. Every single time I've ever in my entire life seen one of those cars racing, it looks like the most fun a man could have in a car that weighs that much. Like, dude, these cars weigh like what, 1,500 pounds, maybe even less than that. Like, people think Miatas are light. These are light. Now, I am a 6-foot guy, and so I have a funny feeling I look like Donkey Kong one of these things. I would feel extremely cramped and not enjoy actually owning one. But just driving it like around the track every once in a while, that is like an actual dream of mine. To have like a actually like purpose-built track car, first gen Mini Cooper, and drive it around. I think it's the best generation, but that one can be argued. Coming in at 8th place, though, this one's definitely going to be pretty hard for you boys to argue. I don't care how much you claim you're not a TikTok kid. You can't lie. The first generation of the Mazda Miata is, in my opinion, the best, and I think everybody would kind of agree on that. The NA Miata with the pop-up headlights, smiley front end. First of all, the looks alone are iconic, and I don't know if I necessarily think it's my favorite looking generation. I do think it's one of them. If not the NA, it's the ND. I think the ND is really good looking, but that doesn't matter. The performance is what you're buying an NA Miata for. Every generation of the Miata after the NA was slightly heavier. Now, not enough to make it worthy of like not talking about it or anything like that, don't get me wrong. Even the NC, which is the heaviest, is still a lightweight sports car and super cool. But the NA Miata is just so freaking lightweight, so simple, one of the most reliable JDM motors of the 90s as well. It was perfect. Out of a company that made the rotaries, dude. And coming in at the number 7 spot, again, another car that's probably going to be a little bit controversial to say the first gen is the best, but I don't care. It's the Dodge Challenger. The 70s Challengers are absolutely gorgeous. Now, I really, really, trust me, pray to the bottom of my heart that I'm not wrong in saying that the first gen Challenger is the 70s and there isn't one that's before this. I highly doubt it, but if there is, I'm sorry, but the one I think is the first gen, which is the 70s, is in my opinion the best. They took a really long break after making the 70s Challengers, and then they came out with them again back in like late 2000s. And these are the ones that we now know of as like the Hellcat and stuff like that. Everybody loves them, and they are cool cars. A lot of people, again, just like the freaking NA Miata, a lot of people hate on them because they feel like they like I feel like to be different or something. No, the Hellcat Challengers are sick. They're freaking awesome cars. But I think the first gens, the 70s, are way more my speed. 2 muscle cars back to back. Your boy's been muscly lately. Not really. I'm still skinny old Mark that you guys know and love. But coming in at 6th place in the first is the best first generation of the Pontiac GTO. That was the worst way of wording that, but you know what I meant. Yeah, the first gen Pontiac GTOs, the 65 GTOs. The only one that comes close is the ones that are like literally right after this, which is like the Judge generations, the GTO, the Judge. Those ones were sick too, don't get me wrong, but I personally, I like the first gen 65s. I think those are just peak. Now, GTO luckily is one of those cars though where it literally never missed. Like every generation of the Pontiac GTO is cool. I just personally think that the first gen is sick. And that is kind of, I know, a little bit ironic coming from the guy who likes to talk about lightweight sports cars, considering the 65 GTO probably weighs like 2 metric tons. Actually, it's not even that crazy, 5 metric tons. But I do like it. I think it's the best. And coming in at 5th place, I promise I didn't plan it this way, it just kind of worked out this way. Another American car, though, is going to the Ford Bronco. The Ford Bronco, again, just like the Pontiac GTO, is a car where I think it never really missed. Even the new ones, where a lot of like car guys, they don't like the new ones, they think they don't stay true to the Bronco name. I understand where the complaints come from, and don't get me wrong, but I think it's a really, actually pretty good modernization of what the Ford Bronco was. People like complain about like the freaking steering wobble, as if like a 60s Bronco wouldn't have that same problem. But either way, yeah, I think the Ford Bronco, the first generation, is clearly the coolest. I don't even think that one's controversial to say at all. The first gen Ford Bronco is freaking sick. And coming in at the number 4 spot, again, I don't think this one's going to be. I kept the safer ones for the front of the front, the top, ending of the list, because coming in at 4th place is going to the Volkswagen Beetle. Again, I don't think many people are going to disagree with me on this, but yeah, obviously the first generation of the Beetle is the best generation of the Beetle. The Volkswagen New Beetle, ooh, I was gonna say it's not that bad, but honestly, man, I am not a fan of that car. But the motor is fine. Let's leave it at that. It's kind of, if you think about it, if you squint really, really hard, a Mark IV GTI, and at that point, it's a pretty good car. Now, everything else about it is a little bit sad and ugly, but the first gen is just beautiful in every way, and it's also it's just, oh man, I love them. And you see so many like cool first gen Beetle builds, like second gen Beetles, new Beetles, whatever you want to call them. All you really see with the new Beetle guys is just they kind of just stance them. Coming in at 3rd place, yet again, I don't think this one's going to be too much of a hot take here. I think most people are going to agree with me on this. It's the Chevy Camaro. Yeah, the 67, 68, and 69 Camaro is easily my favorite, and I think most people's favorite generation of the Chevy Camaro. It is absolutely gorgeous. Camaro now, in my personal opinion, I am a little bit of a Chevy guy. As you guys know, my dad raised me as a GM boy. I'm a product of the GM. But I honestly don't think Camaro's ever really missed. Like, even the 4th gen Catfish Camaro that people like don't really like because it looks bad, the motor was good. It was an LS. The platform was great. It was just, yeah, it didn't look that great. Every generation of the Camaro was great, but I think it all started with the first gen, and everybody kind of loves it for the first gen, and I do too. I think the first gen Camaro is easily the best. Close second though is the second generation. That pre-facelift second gen Camaros are nice looking cars, man. I like those cars. Coming in at 2nd place is yet again another car where it's definitely not a hot take to say that it is it's the best generation of the line. The BMW M6. Yeah, the E24 is just, I mean, the E24 BMW is like kind of what made me love BMW in the first place. I never really cared too much about them back in the day. I always just kind of thought they were boring sedans. And then I saw the E24 and was like, wow, that thing looks absolutely incredible. And started falling in love with BMWs. The E24 is like easily top 5 BMWs, probably even top 3 BMWs in my opinion. And while the E63 and then the F13s, those aren't bad cars, and they're cool in their own regards. Even, yes, the E63, as weird as the rear end looks, it looks like a sperm whale. The guy that was bumping into walls in Finding Dory, it looks like one of those in the rear end. But while it may not look the best, the car itself is like really cool in terms of performance and everything. But dude, nothing beats the freaking E24. The E24 is one of my favorite BMWs ever made. It's top 5 for sure, maybe even top 3. Honorable mention time. That's right, we haven't done an honorable mention on a good old Mark Roden list in quite some time, usually because we're doing top 25 lists, but today we're bringing them back. We used to do honorable mentions all the time, and it's the Ford Escort. Yeah, the Ford Escort is, in my opinion, just, first of all, the entire line was really cool. I don't even know if they're still making them anymore or not, but I know they fell off, and that's what made them stop making them. But yeah, there was some awesome Ford Escorts. The RS Cosworth was awesome. The Mark II was awesome. But it all started with the wonderful Mark I Ford Escort. The Mark I Ford Escort, man, just gets my gears turning, man. I like it a lot. It's my favorite generation of the Ford Escort. Sue me. But first place, and in my opinion, the like most obvious, I would say, like best first gen car, if that makes any sense, is going to the Honda Civic Type R. Not the Honda Civic. Again, we're kind of getting a little picky here, because the Type R, the first ever generation of the Type R Civic, was the EK Civic, and in my opinion, every generation of the Type R after that was nowhere near as good as the EK. The EP3 was cool, underrated car, but definitely not on the same level as the EK. The FA9s or whatever, FA7s, I don't remember what they call them, the 8th gens, they were sick, actually. I think they're also really underrated cars. 9th gens were very forgettable, I'm going to be honest. 10th gen FK8s or whatever, cool in the regard that we got them in America and they were turbocharged. It was the first ever Honda Type R to be turbocharged, which was cool. And now the new FL5s, I think they're sick. Honestly, I do think they're good cars, but I mean, dude, are they better than an EK? Not in the slightest bit. The EK Civic Type R is one of the most legendary JDM cars of all time, and one of the easily top 3 most legendary Honda of all time too. Ooh, I forgot about the NSX and S2000. Okay, maybe top 5, but it's up there. This is the Honda Civic Type R EK. EK9, whatever you want to call it, it is easily the best generation of the Civic Type R. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the top 15 cars where the first generation was the best generation of that car. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos I'd like to see in the comment section down below. Check the links in the description for any of my other social medias or any of my other YouTube channels or any of that great mumbo jumbo. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So hopefully by the time this video goes live, I got my deep dive video on the Volkswagen Jetta live. So if it is live, go check it out, guys. I made a deep dive after so long. I know you guys love the deep dives, but I hate making them. I burnt myself out on them. And I finally built up the motivation to actually make a deep dive, and it was on the Volkswagen Jetta. So yeah, if that video's live, I think it should be. But if it's live, go check it out. If not, it'll probably be live next. So come back to this, I guess, tell me how you thought about it. I don't know, but either way, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, fun fact, actually, we were just talking about Civics, so that's a good point to bring up. The next deep dive is actually going to be on the EG Civic. I know, you're probably like, what? We were just talking about the EK, why not the EK? I want to make a deep dive on the EK, because I do love the EK, but I don't know, I think the EG is more, like, impactful for the Honda name. So yeah, we're gonna do the EG deep dive first, and then eventually we'll do the whole of Honda Civic eventually too. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.